Hey guys, Jen with Astro T. So today we are talking about Mars finally getting ready to go direct after a very long retrograde. It's going to be going direct on February 23rd when he gets to exactly 17 degrees of Cancer. So this retrograde has been since December 6th. So since it was at 6 degrees of Leo. So the post shadow will be until he gets back to 6 degrees of Leo, and that won't be until May 2nd. So we have a lot of aftermath that's going to be coming up from this retrograde, and we had a lot that happened during it. Um, this time, and now we will really start to see its effects going forward in the post shadow and beyond, pretty much. Because what happened during this time was just kind of like a getting ready moment to go forward and what's going to happen now. And it was like a little bit of a prep time. So, one good thing that we had going on was the ceasefire during the peace talks and the hostage releases that we had over in the Middle East. So, the fighting has stalled, and that Mars, the aggressor, and he's stalling now to change course to go forward. He's been sitting at that 17th degree for a long time now. Um, so we hear now that the U.S. has put a time frame on the release of the rest of the hostages because they were releasing just a few at once. And I'm sure that's going to be met with resistance. I'm sure that's going to be something that is going to start some aggression coming up. So when Mars goes direct, that might be that taking action to start you know fighting again. I really hope that's not the case. I hope it's an initiative as to really release all the hostages and get this finished. But Mars, how he can be. So lots of issues also happening with airlines. We've had in the last couple of weeks like 4 crashes. And so things are just coming to a fast halt. That Mars just really getting ready to station. So we know that Mars isn't at its happiest when it is in the sign of Cancer because it doesn't want to be, all warm and fuzzy. It wants to just do what it wants to do. And it doesn't want to, have to worry about caring about what other people are thinking and what they're going to think about what it does. But we, do have to deal with this for a while still, as it won't get into Leo until April. So we have a little while still of Mars just being somewhat, you know, uncomfortable where it is, trying to get started, but really just, having to feel like he's got to check with everybody else to see, okay, I got to worry about this one's feelings and worry about this one's feelings. So you might be feeling like that as well. Like you want to do something, but others' feelings are really kind of holding you back because you don't want to do it only for yourself. That's what Mars usually does. But you want to do it what's good for everybody else without kind of, hurting anybody else in the process. So for a while now, we may not be having that, breakout, conquering, look at me moment that Mars is really, known for and good at, and that they just relish in. So that won't be until Mars gets into Leo, because that is that, hey, look at me, center of attention. I'm Leo, I'm the center, that sun sign, and the world revolves around me. Especially, when on the first, we not only have Venus stationing retrograde. Now, this is the 1st of March. We have Venus stationing retrograde, but Mercury beginning its pre shadow period also on the 1st. And then that one, Mercury will station go direct on the 15th. So we have a little bit of a window of when Mars starts, its direct motion, but then again, we have those setbacks coming up. So it'll make it a little more difficult to really just get things together and get it together and know what you want, because there is going to be some pushback. This can be outwardly as well as inwardly. Again, that Mars is thinking about everything else, and not just thinking about themselves. So, instead of just acting, you're just worried about, how this is going to affect yourself emotionally. Maybe you're thinking about making a big change, or there's a big change that you were working on during that retrograde. And now maybe you're kind of unsure of it, because, you're kind of having that inward pushback. And then we have, with Mercury going retrograde and Venus going retrograde, our minds kind of, not quite so sharp and not quite so determined, as a Mars going direct would be. And because, of course, it's in still Cancer. So the emphasis on water with the sun making its way into Pisces on the 18th, of course, bringing us in to Pisces season. And Mars in Cancer, Neptune and Saturn in Pisces. So lots of water going on. So if you have a really watery chart, I think you're going to feel a lot of this. But even if you don't, I think that might also affect you, because I personally, I have no water in my chart. So when water comes up, it's hard for me to handle it. So, emotions could be kind of, all over the place, of course. And Pisces can be turning that water into vapor. So that's dissolving. Pisces can be that dissolver. Things kind of slipping through our fingers, maybe something that we've been, we kind of let go of. Maybe we didn't take the initiative when we should have. Maybe we just can't seem to piece it together enough, just to really get something solid started. That's kind of what I mean. Like, we're just not getting that idea to just get a good formation, to get um, a good foundation underneath it, because it's all just kind of fizzling around. It's kind of turning vapory and watery, instead of having that grounding that we would need to really start building upon. Pisces can be turning, an with Venus in her normal, loving, beautiful self, is in Aries. So she's stymied by being in detriment and in retrograde. Um, Venus can have a lot of fun in Aries, because that's exciting. It's that kind of like, I want to do anything, and I want to do whatever I want to do, and just kind of like a, no holds barred kind of Venus, that isn't the normal Venus, caring, loving, but because she's going to be going into retrograde, she's now more challenged, more impatient, frustrated, as is the Mars, just really struggling to get that traction. So you might feel a lot of this in your relationships. So with Venus in detriment, with Venus going into retrograde, Mars struggling for traction, especially being in Cancer, there could be, sexual issues maybe going on, that you might have a little bit of trouble there. Maybe connecting with your person. Maybe emotions get a little bit the best of you. Um, so, sometimes you might act out. You might just say, you know what, fuck it. I'm just going to go. I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to do what I want. But then that Mars is almost reeling you back in, to just kind of, keep you from kind of flying off the handle and say, you know what, this is the way it is. So Mars is going to be again at that 17th degree for almost a month, until March 8th. So you want to check your chart. If you have anything in the cardinal signs, around that 17, I would say give or take maybe 3 degrees, you're gonna really feel this. You're gonna feel, personally maybe blocked, maybe a little bit confused, unable again to gain that traction, to gain that footing, because of that Mars just not feeling that happy, and the other factors going against it. It's just not going to be super helpful. Especially, we have Mercury's, going retrograde in Pisces, and things might seem like they're just not making sense. Ideas that we had, plans that we had, all of a sudden just, aren't making sense anymore. And we just, maybe a trip that we wanted to take, maybe won't be happening because we didn't have a good plan going on. We may be overly forgetful. So maybe we wanted to go on a little trip and then we forgot to maybe buy our tickets to book our hotel. But even as just any kind of plans, your ideas can come and quickly dissolve away or just are forgotten. And it's like, oh, I had that great idea, and what was that? You just can't seem to put your finger on it. Um, but I think that Mercury in its retrograde stage is going to really pull a lot of new unexposed issues out of the past and put them to the forefront. Things that people maybe were hoping were kind of in the background. Maybe that, oh, well, they kind of forgot about this. It's kind of going to get blown off. I think are going to get brought back up. Did hear a little something about the Epstein files getting released. Now, haven't talked about that in a while. Like as of late, it's been, the P. Diddy stuff that's going on. So that might be pretty interesting. So may have something like that popping back up with this Mercury retrograde. So definitely while Mercury is in retrograde, keep an eye on the news and see what they're talking about. Because when it goes direct, I think we're going to find some stuff out. And I think it's going to be pretty mind blowing because March is going to prove to be a very active month. We have a lot going on, so you're going to want to hit that subscribe button because we're going to be working on a lot of videos. I already have tons of stuff started, so definitely hit that notification bell because we got a lot to talk about, a lot coming up. So again, we have about a week at the end of this month, so about the 23rd to the 1st that we have, so a good 7 days before before Venus goes retrograde of that progressive energy. So you want to really make that time count if you can. So whatever you're going to, don't put it off. You want to kind of get at it because if you put it off, things might not work out, especially if you're thinking about, making a big purchase, something luxurious. Something like that, you kind of want to take that initiative and just do it before Venus goes retrograde. And again, too, it doesn't have to be just a luxury purchase because we have Mercury going retrograde as well. You probably want to, if you have electronics, you're having some issues with computers or whatnot, and you're thinking about getting a new one. I think that week might be the time to do it before things kind of start, not being too where you kind of lose your confidence in that stuff during the retrograde motions. So electronics, luxury purchases, big purchases, might want to do them around, the week of the 23rd. So this is a good time also for planning and working on yourself from the inside out. So any water signs, they really give us that need to go internally and just work on any issues that we might be having, struggles within ourselves, because the struggles within ourselves is a lot of time what's going to be holding us back. And because we're unsure and because we maybe feel a little bit of trepidation, it's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this. And those inner struggles really are kind of, you're your worst enemy at times. So this is the time that you really want to work on that so that you can take that initiative and, get that gumption to do the things that you want to do. Another thing is if you've been journaling dreams within this time, especially with everything going on in Pisces, it's a good time to really focus on what you're dreaming about and figure out what's going on in your subconscious mind. That stress and anxiety is coming out in your dreams, in your subconscious, and use this time to heal yourself and really figure out, like, well, a lot of times you wake up and say, like, oh my God, that was weird. And I know I've had a bunch as of late, some really disturbing, some that I, kind of wanted to blow off. I do write them all down. Now's a good time to kind of go back and maybe re-look at those and re-examine what could have been on your mind at that time and has those issues that maybe are giving you those bad thoughts, have those been kind of dealt with? And if they haven't been, then you find a way to deal with them on your own. And I actually was having a really tough day the other day. It was the day of the full moon. So I had um, a nice little ritual all by myself. I usually try and invite my husband in on it, even though he thinks they're kind of weird, but he's in my coven, so I make him come. But I wanted to do that one by myself because I was really feeling anxious, unsure of myself, and it really has helped. And I feel a lot better ever since then. It could have been the moon phase too. I did have a moon squaring my, or I had Uranus squaring my moon, or was it the other way around? I'd have to check that. But anyway, so that could be why my emotions were just haywire. But again, go back, really get into your subconscious to really just kind of figure it out so you can move forward. March has a lot going on again with everything in slow retrograde motion. This is going to be a lot of kind of getting blurbs of things starting to happen, but maybe nothing coming to fruition. So you're going to really see things ramping up for this big change that we're going to be seeing this year. And especially, with eclipse season starting in March. So we not only have the two retrogrades happening, we have eclipse season starts, and at the end of the month, capping it off on the 30th, we have Neptune going into Aries. So that is the second of our big outer planet moves. And so it is just moving into a month of that inner growth and change, and that, like, okay, we're closing this past chapter and starting a whole new chapter with Neptune moving into that first sign of Aries, kind of starting again. So it kind of completed what needed to be done in the past cycle, and now it's starting a whole new cycle back up. So the retrogrades will help us to slow down and to really take note. So again, journal, journal, journal. Write things down. Just have pen and paper with you all the time, and just whenever you have a thought, write it down. Have a journal on your phone. Talk into it. If you don't have time, if you're driving, just push a button, say your feelings. Try not to let those actions, those ideas, those plans that you've been, working on fizzle out. Don't let them go to waste. You put the effort in so far, continue that effort. Don't be afraid. You can do this. You really can. You just have to be confident. And again, things are scary. This is a scary time for a lot of people. This Piscean energy, though, it does kind of fizzle things out a little bit, but it also helps us with that mutability to just kind of be okay with the change. Pisces is that last transcendent sign before we start that zodiac wheel all over again. So we want to reflect on what we've learned and how we've grown, and deal with the changing world with the knowledge that we've gained already. So with Neptune, Sun, and Saturn all making that leap into that, spunky Aries, it's just like full of moxie, get going, and now's the time to really just take that leap. The last time Neptune was in Aries was in 1861 to 1875. Now we're going to do a video coming up of kind of the history of Neptune, and kind of things that we might want to look at, and things that might come up, themes that might come up that happened in the past when Neptune was in Aries. Now this is a longer time, 1961 to 75. It's good 14 years. So it's not going to be quick. It's not going to be a quick transition. It's going to be a little bit slower. But we're just going to kind of get some ideas of what to expect. So this time it will conjunct Saturn at the first degree. So because of retrogrades and it's going to not stay in Aries. It's just doing its little quick peek right now. Um, but they're going to be conjunct ultimately in 2026 at the very first degree of Aries. So is that an initiative? Nothing else is. So the last time that happened was in 4,361 BC. So picture that we are just climbing up that first part of the roller coaster. We have no idea. So we're climbing and we are going into the clouds, and the clouds is at Neptune, and we don't know what's happening. But that Saturn, it's keeping us in, and we are firmly secured in that roller coaster ride, and we are ready to make that crest and go over the top. So you want to make sure that you are grounded, that you are ready, because it's going to happen whether you like it or not. So you're going up to the top, you're buckled in, Saturn's keeping you just under wraps. Might be cloudy up there because it is a really high one and it's a really steep fall after that. So you want to make sure mentally you are ready for it. So the time of no return is here, you guys. So this is the time to get mentally prepared. So that is about all I have to say about that. So again, tons coming up. We have videos about the Neptune transition into Aries ingress. We have the eclipses coming up. We have so much going on next month. Hit that subscribe button and get that notifications going as well. Please let me hear what you think. What might be making you a little nervous? Feel free to leave comments. I'd love to hear from y'all, and hit the like button if you like this video, and I will see y'all soon. Bye bye.